Good evening and welcome to Monday Night Politics Meet the Candidates, presented by the Dallas Examiner. I'm Molly Finch Belt, publisher of the Dallas Examiner. The Dallas Examiner has presented Monday Night Politics for over 12 consecutive years prior to elections. The Dallas Examiner does not endorse candidates. We seek to inform the community so that when they go to the polls, they are informed voters. All candidates who provide their email addresses on their applications when they file for office are invited to participate in Monday Night Politics. Monday Night Politics is not a debate, it's a forum designed to inform the community about the candidates' qualifications, their platform, etc. We could not present Monday Night Politics without our sponsors, who are nonprofit organizations, and they do not endorse either. In addition to Monday Night Politics, our website, www.dallasexaminer.com, has a section for voter education. Here you'll find current information about voting. Visit www.dallasexaminer.com. I would be remiss if I didn't mention two people who have worked with Monday Night Politics Meet the Candidates behind the scenes for over 12 years. The first person is Robin Jimenez, Vice President of Production and Editorial at the Dallas Examiner. The other person is Christy Thomas, Monday Night Politics Advisory Committee. We are happy tonight to have as our moderator Charles O'Neill. Charles is president of the Texas Association of African American Chambers of Commerce, and he was the first editor for the Dallas Examiner when the newspaper was founded by my father in 1986. Thank you for attending the forum tonight.
Good evening and welcome back to the Valentine's Day edition of Monday Night Politics. We have had a full slate of candidates for Dallas County judicial races from county courts at law, and now we're in our second race with Dallas County Criminal Court at Law number 10. Two of the three candidates in that race are present, Monique J. Bracy Huff and Alyssa Webb. And we thank you both for being here with us tonight. Judge Mullen is not present tonight. And so we will start with opening statements, 2 minutes. We'll go alphabetical order. Ms. Huff, you can go first. 2 minutes for opening statement.
Okay, good evening. My name is Monique Bracy Huff. I just got married in July of last year, so this is my first Valentine's Day with my new husband, so I want to take a few moments to say, Happy Valentine's Day, baby. Thank you for being here. I am running for judge of Dallas County Criminal Court number 10, and it is a specialized court, as in it is one of the two family violence courts in Dallas County. So primarily this court deals with assault family violence cases, as well as violation of protective order and sometimes interference with emergency phone calls. I'm running for this race based on my experience. I have an undergraduate degree in social work where I interned in domestic violence shelters, worked with victims that needed emergency housing when they were the victim of domestic violence and needed that safe place to stay for them and their families. I then came to Dallas and went to SMU Dedman School of Law for law school, where I worked in domestic violence shelter locally. Again, answering that hotline and helping women who were in a domestic violence situation, as well as providing crisis counseling and resources as they needed. And then I interned in the family violence unit of the Dallas County District Attorney's Office so that I learned what it's like to prosecute these family violence offenses. Then I switched and started my own practice, and for the past 13 years, I've actually been practicing criminal defense, defending individuals charged with these family violence offenses. So when I say I have a holistic view of family violence, how it affects both victims, their families, and the accused, I mean it. I really want to run for this bench because I believe this misdemeanor bench is a bench of opportunity. We have the opportunity to educate individuals. 3 million children each year are exposed to domestic violence in their household. What can we do to stop this cycle? I want to introduce pretrial diversion programs so we can start to educate individuals so that they know that they have different choices they can make. Thank you for this time, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Ms. Webb?
Hi, good evening. My Valentine is also Doug Huff, Monique's husband, so that's a little bit awkward. It's just a bit of a joke to get my nerves out of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alyssa Webb, and I'm a Democrat running for judge of County Criminal Court 10, a domestic violence court. A little bit about my background. I have committed my legal career to public service here in Dallas County. After graduating from the University of Texas School of Law, where I also did my undergraduate, thanks in Hookham, I came to Dallas to work as a public defender serving low-income communities here in Dallas. That meant I was often working with clients from some of our hardest hit communities when it came to disparate policing practices and criminal prosecution. You do not have to do the work of being a public defender or criminal defense attorney for more than a full day in court to know that when you're coming from a low income setting or an immigrant community, these sentences, which may appear the same on paper as your more wealthier counterparts, are going to have a greater harm on you. And the screw, unfortunately, does get twisted harder on our young black and brown men. My view of our system is rooted in that work. But it's my expertise that makes me, I believe, the most qualified candidate for this bench. After leaving the public defender's office, I joined the district attorney's office, where I had the chance to work as a family violence prosecutor. I served under 3 administrations. I was the chief of our other family violence court, County Criminal Court 11. And I also worked in our felony family violence division, where I litigated murders, aggravated assaults, and strangulation cases happening in intimate partner violence relationships. My expertise in this area of the law is unique to my candidacy, including against the incumbent. But it's my goal for what I want to do with this court, and I'll spend my last 2 minutes in closing explaining my views for where we can take how we as a community respond to the generational curses and trauma of domestic and dating violence. Thank you.
But let's expand on that a little bit right now, if you don't mind. Down ballot, and I'll call them down ballot races, but judicial races typically are the last ones. People don't know what
You don't have to do me like that, Mr. Williams.
Don't
Yes,
even
the down
know
ballot
what
race,
you
I'm with
do.
you.
So kind of explain to people how your presence on that bench will lead to the kind of outcomes that you described.
So as my opponent mentioned, this is a misdemeanor court, meaning we are handling Class B and A offenses that have a family violence component. And you've heard me say domestic violence, dating violence, intimate partner violence. The term under Texas law is family violence. And what that covers is violence in dating relationships, also violence within families, and roommate violence. So who you're hooking up with, who you're related to, or who you live with. But by and large, the focus of these courts is relationship violence, dating violence. So that thing that I want to bring to this court is a diversion program. There currently isn't any opportunity unique to County Criminal Court 10 for diversion. And my view for that is based on this. We have an opportunity, especially when we're talking about young people. And by and large, in some of these lower level offenses, you're seeing young people 25 and under who are already parents repeating the trauma and abuse that they either witnessed or experienced themselves as children. And instead of simply being punitive and giving that lock 'em up answer, that tough on crime response, instead of just taking that pound of flesh, I believe that we can offer our young people an opportunity to take accountability and also provide them the tools to heal that underlying trauma so that we are supporting safer romantic partners and also safer parents. That diversion program, the specifics of which I haven't worked out yet, and here's why. I'm an expert in this area of law, but I'm not an expert in psychology, sociology, the intersections of race, class, gender, disability, so on and so forth. So I am committed to bringing in the leading experts of those fields, as well as various community advocacy groups, whether it be victims advocacy groups and shelters, as well as men's groups and young men's mentorship groups, into the courtroom and say, this is your courtroom, tell me, how do we start to address this better and provide that venue for our community?
Very good, thank you. Mrs. Huff, same question. How will the court be improved with your election?
Well, one of the things that I have spoke about during my campaign is I want to use that social work background that I have. I want to use that social work background to write grant programs to bring, again, a pretrial diversion program into that court. I have worked with indigent clients. I do appointment works. And what I found in it is that many clients don't have access to services that they can actually afford. Not everyone knows that they're going to end up in the criminal justice system, and they definitely don't know they're going to have an assault family violence case. many opportunities are given that they can get this case dismissed or get a lesser punishment if they complete anger management or batterers intervention and prevention program known as BIP. So my pretrial diversion program is I want to bring those programs into the courtroom. All right, we already use the space for other pretrial diversion programs. Why not use it for another one, specifically geared towards domestic violence? I want to use that grant money to provide for instructors to come to the courtroom or via internet and provide those classes right there. That way, for those individuals who are less internet savvy, they've already providing the computers and other essential items needed right there in the classroom so that they can focus on the course and what it provides. Also, I want to start dealing with the cost of things. All right, your BIP class, usually there's $100 to $125 orientation fee. The course lasts for approximately 6 months with one class per week. And then you have to pay a fee of usually about $25 per class. So when you have indigent individuals who are making the choices between paying the electric bill or paying for a class, they're going to pick the electric bill every time. They're going to pick rent every time. But let's waylay some of these courses so that they understand the opportunity that these programs provide so that you're not walking away from court with convictions. And that's really the problem with these family violence courts, is that a lot of people do not understand the power of convictions. It prevents you from getting jobs. It can prevent you from getting primary custody for your children.
So,
Thank you.
So we heard about these programs that seem to solve all the issues that arise from these courts. And you described them very graphically, right? So why aren't they, what is it that's keeping them from being implemented right now?
Well, I think specifically if we are going to focus on the court in which I'm running for, I think the court is just being run inefficiently. So when individuals can't get representation and can't get an attorney to kind of walk them through the benefits of participating in this program and why it might be worth a little bit more to borrow from a cousin or stuff like that so that you don't deal with these family violence consequences, I don't think they're getting those tools provided to them. Specifically, when I say the inefficiency of this court has drawn 2 challengers to this court because of courts running inefficiently. I want a court where justice is not delayed, because we all know that justice delayed is justice denied. When private attorneys charge 2 to 3 times more to provide services in this court just because it's assigned to this court, we have a problem. When appointed attorneys will not provide services in this court and accept appointments because they are not paid for the time that's wasted in that court, we have a problem. So we have individuals who are charged with cases and sitting in jail because they can't get representation. And when you're sitting in jail 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you've already lost your job, possibly lost your apartment because you're not paying rent and out there making those funds, then the last choice you're left with is, do I just take time served and end my case so I don't have to pay any more fees or do any classes? Or do I get out of jail, spend additional money for a class, and then get it dismissed? Well, they're going to take the easy choice. They're going to take that time served. And with that conviction, we've already talked about the consequences of that. And with that conviction, they don't learn anything. We make no steps towards ending the cycle of domestic violence. We make no steps towards teaching them that they might have another option out there. They might have another choice that's more powerful and can teach new things to their family. They can bring something home to their children and family members at home that might stop that cycle of domestic violence that my fellow candidate was talking about. So that's the importance of these programs and these pretrial diversion programs.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Webb, one more cut at it, how your election to this bench will make these kinds of programs part of the standard operating procedure of that court.
So something when we're talking about intimate partner violence, we're really talking about social emotional learning. And a question that I've started to pose when I'm speaking in front of crowds is, who taught you how to break up with somebody? And the answer is probably nobody. And a lot of us are really bad at it, myself included. It's that basic idea of, what do we do with our big, scary feelings? How do we treat somebody when our feelings towards them are hurt? It seems like elementary stuff, but it goes well beyond just keeping your hands to yourself. And so what I would like to do is have the court be a venue for, like I said, accountability through healing, but most importantly, a space for learning. You know, oftentimes when somebody is going in front of a judge, the concern is, am I dressed the right way? Am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to wound up thrown in jail? And I think when a person has had to catch the bus to even get to court, if they show up in shorts and a tank top, you know what? My response to them is going to be, thank you so much, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, for being here. I'm glad you can make your court date, because it really shouldn't matter. Life is hard enough as it is out there, and someone has a criminal charge hanging above their head that could cost them their livelihood, their housing, their child custody, their liberty, or their ability to stay in this country. So I think a unique thing that I would want to make a part of that diversion program, and really just my view on how we can be better in our criminal justice system at large, is treating people like human beings with their full humanity and dignity. I've got 30 seconds left on this clock, and something else I want you to know about me is this. 40% of the population here in Dallas County is Latino. I call myself a 1.5 generation American. My mom's an immigrant from Nuevo Laredo, Mexico. I was raised in a loving bilingual home. Wev, it comes from my daddy is a white guy with red hair and blue eyes that charmed her at a young age. But I say that because we have a great need for Latino and Spanish-speaking judges on our bench. I've been a benefactor of some excellent black women judges in Dallas County, and I hope to bring that same mentorship to up-and-coming young Latino lawyers.
And 2 minutes for our closing statements.
Oh, I get more time.
Yes,
Great.
ma'am.
Fantastic. This never
All
happens
right.
in court.
Right.
All right, so a little
Maybe
bit.
I should run for office. No. It's all right.
Well,
We're good.
come on. You started one of those down ballot races, Mr. Williams. Okay. Going back to that resume, though, and some of those bullet points, and this is important. I talked a little bit about my experience as a family violence prosecutor. I tried both misdemeanor level cases as well as felony level cases. So we're talking about not days in county jail, although any time a person's liberty is deprived is serious. We're talking years behind bars where lives had been lost and lives were and futures were at stake. I believe having that perspective and full understanding of our criminal system is key in any bench. As a felony family violence prosecutor, I handled over 500 felony level charges. I was also invited not once, but 3 times to be a presenter at the Conference on Crimes Against Women, which is sponsored by Genesis Women's Shelter, where I presented a case study on how an abuser had successfully manipulated our system against his victim, costing a woman more than 150 days in jail. He fooled the police, the judge, the probation officers, the prosecutors, and that included myself. On a bit of a personal note, as a young person, I had a father who was locked up and he spent some time in prison. I was born to a young teen mom who sometimes that meant taking up an extra job so that Christmas was there, but I was always safe and protected. Unfortunately, there were people in my family that didn't have that experience, and our trajectories were very different. I'm proud to say that I have the support of each and every single one of my family members, regardless of where their walks in life have taken them. But I think it's important that we have people sitting in our judiciary that reflect the people coming before them and understand what those various challenges can be when sometimes you might be worried about how your next meal is going to get there or who might be coming over that night. So it's with that that I ask you all for your support. My name is Alyssa Wev, first on the ballot for County Criminal Court 10. Webforjudge.com is my website. Have a happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you so much. Ms. Huff.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me. I believe that I am the most experienced candidate for this job. I believe that my background, that social work, that specialized background of working in domestic violence shelters and working with victims, understanding their needs and their fears, has made me specially suited for not re-traumatizing those victims when they have to come to court and unfortunately when they have to sometimes testify in trial. I also believe that my experience, my 13 years of legal experience, working with indigent individuals as well as private hire clients that have been charged with family violence offenses, gives me that unique perspective of understanding what it's like going through the criminal justice system and what it's like when you were in a situation where you were frustrated and overwhelmed by your emotions, and now you have to be held accountable for them. And that's what I offer as a judge as well, accountability. I want to provide something new. I want to provide something different to those charged with those family violence offenses so that they are not repeating the cycle in the criminal justice system. I don't want this to be the first of many touches with the law where they continue to, when they get that first conviction, they end up coming back over and over again. I also think that I'm a different candidate because the mindset of a prosecutor is just totally different from the mindset of an individual who is a defense attorney. And I think that I have that little bit closer connection to individuals that will be coming to the court to understand some of their needs and what they're dealing with when they come into court. I understand I'm not a Spanish speaker, but I do understand that many of the individuals that will come in that court, in fact, do need Spanish and translation services. But the record that is made in these courts will always be made in English. So I am committed to making sure those translator services are provided, because the situation is 10 times more overwhelming in a court when you don't actually understand the language and the process going on. I'm asking for your support, that you take that background of social work and experience that I have and vote for me, Monique Bracy Huff, for Judge of Dallas County Criminal Court number 10. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Monique Bracy Huff and Ms. Alyssa Webb, candidates for Dallas County Criminal Court at Law number 10. Thank you both for showing up tonight and doing such a great job. Okay, thank you. And don't be telling everybody when.